My name is Roy Shockey, and I'm coming to you tonight from Keller, Texas. I'm here to talk about credibility and validity in news stories. Tonight I'm going to discuss three different news stories, two from the New York Times and one from Apple Computers. So the first one I'm going to talk about is a story about vicious assault shakes Texas town. This is a story about an 11-year-old girl who was raped by a group of men, some of them minors, some of them other students at her school, and some of them adults. So the story I want to go through very quickly. I found this story to be independent. I found the author to be merely stating the facts that are known without trying to shade things or make the story more sensational than it was. It's a tragic story. See, when this tragedy comes out, you don't need to embellish it any. It really caused a lot of damage to this small town, and I think the writer does a very good job not trying to over sensationalize it. The writer did cite multiple sources, and the writer named the sources. The writer attempted to verify the sources of the information, even citing police affidavit that was used to get a search warrant for more evidence. Cited one of the quotes was from, or multiple quotes was from a spokesperson for the local school district where the girl went to school. So there are some authoritative sources and some investigative reporting, and there was also citing a Houston Chronicle article about the same subject. So they gathered information from there, and it did name the sources. It named where the information came from. So I believe the story is credible. I believe it qualifies as news. It does leave me with some unanswered questions, like why was an 11-year-old girl hanging out with much older men? Because the story says that she apparently had a habit of hanging out with them, and like where were her parents or her mother or whoever? So those are the things that I wonder about. And I also wonder, some of the boys were minors, some were adults. What are they going to be charged with? And I think we're not at that point in the story, but it's interesting, and it's something I'd like to know more about it. The second story is Apple announcing the introduction of their iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. This is a very biased piece. It's not really a news article at all. It's a press release. It cites one source, and it's only a quotation about how great Apple iPhones are, and that's Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple. I'm thinking he's probably going to say that. The rest of the story is facts, figures, details about the new iPhones, and differences from the old iPhones. But there's really nothing in here that's really newsworthy. There's really nothing in here that, there's not multiple sources. There's no name sources other than Tim Cook. There's no facts or figures. There's a lot of adjectives like stunning and dramatic and things like that, and innovative. So it's clearly a piece intended to make us like iPhones. You know what, I do, but this article is not exactly clear and balanced there, fair and balanced. The last article I want to talk about, this is a tragic story also. The grief and protests follow shooting of a teenager, and this is in Jefferson, Missouri, suburb of St. Louis, and I think we've all heard parts of the story about a young boy who was shot by a police officer. Now, just knowing what I know about this story, I'd like to read about it. I'd like to know more about this article, about what happened here. But this story doesn't really do that. This article doesn't do that for me. This article, I think, is pretty much self-interested and biased. It begins by, it has one police source. It has 7 sources that are non-police. It says that it's not known what happened. The investigation's underway. And yet, it quotes source after source saying there needs to be protests, there needs to be this, there needs to be that. So it's more rabble-rousing than really reporting the news. And this is a tragic story. It doesn't need to be sensationalized. On the very front page, we've got this caption right here under a picture that says, this woman, is mourning her son who died in the street. Well, died in the street. We don't need to know he died in the street. He was shot. He died. We don't need to know if it was in the gutter. it's an added fact that doesn't really, in my opinion, doesn't really belong in a news story. Now, the article does cite sources, it does name sources, it has multiple sources, and those, it goes about its business like a legitimate news story, but I think that it's shaded, and it's shaded in a way as to more or less depict the police as being culpable. It's trying to give us the opinion there, so it's, I believe, an opinion piece that masquerades as a news article. So that's my take on these three articles. Your opinion may vary, but that's why I'm here. And so credibility and validity in the news. I think all three stories probably tell the truth. But I think the last two suffer in the credibility department because they tend to voice opinions. Anyway, that's my take on it. Thank you.